Okay. Manufacturing process is nothing but what? If you consider any industry, an industry, it requires some industrial process to get production volume. Okay. So in order to get the production volume, they use some sort of raw material or semi-finished product. And these are to be processed. Simply we can say some manufacturing process is to be incorporated. Okay. Then we get output in terms of production volume. You can say any of the industries that these mechanical parts are obtained through manufacturing process. So if you see the previous classes, we described varieties of material selection for design. The design may be towards sustainable or toward environmental impacts or towards aesthetics or towards ergonomics and so on. So once the material is got selected, which material and what is the functionality, okay, for specific product or the part, then the next step is to make it physical. So in order to get the product as outcome, okay, some sort of manufacturing process is to be incorporated in order to obtain the physical product from the virtual product. The virtual product which is been obtained through the finalization of the conceptual design. So this manufacturing process, if you consider, these are broadly classified into two categories. The one is primary manufacturing process and the secondary manufacturing process. In the primary manufacturing process, it is nothing but what? Pure raw material we are giving. Okay, so that input is being processed. Okay, I mean, this is a manufacturing operation is being incorporated. Then we can obtain a semi-finished product, a semi-finished part. Okay, so here complete raw material you are giving and semi-finished part it is giving as output. Okay, so this type of manufacturing process is nothing but primary manufacturing process. The output which we got from the primary manufacturing operation is further to be processed, right, in order to get the exact output of the finished product. Okay, so the manufacturing operation which is incorporated in order to get the finished product from the semi-finished product is called secondary manufacturing process. So this primary manufacturing process and secondary manufacturing process that are being implemented in industries in order to get the product outcome. However, there are large number of manufacturing processes that are available for manufacturing. These processes like primary and secondary process are further classified into four varieties. The first one is casting processes, then forming processes, fabrication processes, and material removal processes. Okay, so these four are the typical manufacturing process categories while considering into account. With the help of these four manufacturing process only, okay, either we may get semi-finished or finished products. Now let us see the first manufacturing process, casting process. Casting is nothing but what? Generally, this is a very oldest technique that are this was
Sir.
Okay, and
Hello.
this process is, of course, it seems quite simple, but it has some sort of drawbacks also. So casting is one of the oldest known manufacturing process. In this process, liquid metal is used. Okay, it means that the metal is in the form of liquid. This process requires preparation of cavity. Okay, the cavity may be made up of refractory material. Okay, to resemble closely the final object to be made. Okay, so there is one mold cavity. Okay, so the mold cavity is of refractory, is made up of refractory material, and then this molten metal which we have is then poured into this refractory mold cavity. Okay, so then let it cool for some time. Okay, then it is allowed for solidification. Okay, once the object is solidified in the mold, okay, now the molten metal or the liquid is converted into solid state. Once this liquid is converted into solid state, we can say that the desired part is ready. Okay, since the solid is ready, then what the next step is that it is to be removed from the mold cavity. Okay, so once it is removed from the mold cavity, then we can say our desired output is ready. So this is the process of casting that is being incorporated from so many days. Casting process, it is universally used to manufacture varieties of components to be manufactured, of course. So if you see this figure, this is of course a schematic diagram of a casting process, how it is, how the manufacturing operation is taking place. So if you see this blue color, okay, that is called mold cavity. Okay, it means that where the cavity shape, if you see, it is the desired part. Okay, so the desired part is in the shape of the mold cavity. Okay, and the liquid metal, okay, and the liquid metal is to be poured through this sprue, okay, or pouring cup, we can say. So the liquid metal is then passed to this mold cavity, right, as we discussed. Then this liquid metal is allowed for solidification for some time. Okay, so once the liquid metal is solidified, okay, then we can say our part is ready. Of course, there are certain considerations are to be made during the preparation of the final part. Okay, that will be discussed later on. Okay, then this solidified part is to be removed from the mold cavity. Okay, so this is what the casting operation is. There are huge varieties of casting operations. Okay, it may be permanent casting, it may be sand mold casting, it may be centrifugal casting. Varieties of casting operations are there, and according to the application, each casting can be incorporated. Okay, that will be discussed later on. Okay. Then the next second category of the manufacturing process is forming process. Okay, so in this casting operation, if you see, there you are using molten metal. Okay, but in the forming process, it is not like the molten metal operation. It is solid state manufacturing process. I mean to say that the material, I mean to say raw material, or the semi-finished product is in the solid state. Okay, then the solid state manufacturing process, which involves minimum amount of material wastage and a faster production. Okay, so this material, this manufacturing process, it doesn't have uh, more material wastage, and also the production rate of this operation, farming operation, is very huge. Okay, we'll discuss in detail what is this farming operation and how the farming operation can be made. Okay, so in this, for suppose if you see the casting operation, there pure raw material you are giving. There you don't give any finished, semi-finished uh, item or semi-finished part as input. Okay, there you give the only raw material as the input, and you will get the semi-finished product. Once the casted parts are ready after this casting operation, then you have to apply some sort of other secondary manufacturing operations in order to get the desired shape with accurate geometrical dimensions of the product. Okay, so casting operation is one of the primary manufacturing process, as well as forming process also is also one of the primary manufacturing process, right? Okay, so here also you are giving the, of course here you can give the semi-finished product also in farming operation, but you cannot give guarantee that the output of the farming process can be as finished. Okay, most of the cases the output of the farming process is of semi-finished part. It means that the output from this farming process is to be subjected for secondary manufacturing process in order to get the geometrical accuracy of the desired part, right? So in forming process, the metal, I mean to say the input will be heated to a certain temperature. Okay, na? Temperature. Okay, and then to the heated part, some sort of force, external forces is being applied. Okay, then with the aid of these forces, the material flows, okay, into the desired shape. Okay, and once the desired it flows, then it takes into the desired shape. Okay, then the material, the desired shape will be cooled down. Okay, of course, since it is under solid state, after the complete cool down of the heated material also, it is in that specified shape, right? Okay, so this is called forming process. This forming process, there are huge varieties in the forming process. Okay, these varieties are like rolling operation, okay, drop forging operation, extrusion operation, sheet metal operation. As like for the designer, industrial designers as like us, we do more we do more relation with these forming operations only. For suppose you just see the, if you see the sheet metal operation, okay, na? So mobile covers, okay, or some cases, okay, the thickness of the thickness is below 2 mm, like 5 mm. Okay, so these are called sheet metals. Everywhere you have to use these sheet metals for necessary processing. Okay, so sheet metal operation is one of the crucial manufacturing process for the designers, right? Okay, everywhere the structures, aesthetics, okay, and more interactive tools, all these you can incorporate it on the surfaces of the parts or the products. Okay, so this sheet metal technology is very much useful for the industrial designer, and the sheet metal complete operations are related to forming process. Okay, now let's see After this casting operation and the forming operation, the next third process is the fabrication process. Okay, so the fabrication process is secondary manufacturing process where the starting raw material are processed by any of the previous manufacturing process as described. Okay, so this fabrication process, it is like a secondary manufacturing process. Okay, it means that you are using here semi-finished parts that are produced with the help of primary manufacturing operations, either of the casting operation or either of the forging operation. Okay, so it involves fabrication involves the joining of pieces. Okay, it may be the joining of either permanent joining or temporary joining to form the necessary function. The joining of these materials can be achieved through the heat. Okay, it means that you are supplying some heat. Okay, so when you are giving some heat, the specific part, we can say heat affected zone under the molten state. Okay, and since it is molten, okay, some sort of pressure you will apply. Okay, so once this heat affected zone you are applying pressure, okay, then these two plates will be joined together. Okay, then the output of this joining will be achieved. Okay, and say it is according to its necessary functionality for mold strength or for leakage proof or for something like the functionality may be different for different type of joining of two materials. These processes can be categorized into broadly three categories. One is welding operation. Of course, the welding is then be classified into various types of welding operations. Then the brazing operation, then soldering operations. Okay, now, so among these, if you see this brazing and soldering operation, we can say these are the temporary or operations. Of course, here the welding is the permanent joining operation. Okay, so in the case of permanent joining means whenever you want to disassemble those two parts which are combined together, then there will be some sort of material destructive or material wastage as occurred. Then it is called permanent joining process. If there is no material destruction or material wastage occurred during the material removal, I mean to say during the disassemble of the parts, then we can say it is temporary joining process. Okay, so here in this case of welding, it is permanent, and in the case of brazing and soldering, it is temporary. Then the next concept of the manufacturing process category is, this is the fourth manufacturing category and also is very important category, is called material removal process. Sometimes this material removal process is called as machining operation. Okay. What happens in this machining operation? So let's have a look. This material removal process is also secondary manufacturing processes, right? Okay, it means that what it can be used for manufacture of the parts which are coming out from the primary manufacturing operations. So the primary manufacturing operations are casting and forming, and through casting and forming some sort of semi-finished parts we can achieve, we can obtain. To those obtained semi-finished products through the primary manufacturing operation, further we have to process it. Okay, na? So this material removal process is also a secondary manufacturing process where the additional unwanted material is removed in forms of chips from the blank material. Okay, na? Blank material is nothing but what? Here the blank material is the input, okay, na? Which is the output of the primary manufacturing process. Okay, so from this blank material, some amount of material can be removed in forms of unwanted material can be removed in form of chips. Okay, na? Which has small dimensional, okay, na? Material removed with some thickness, okay, na? Chips by with the help of harder tool to obtain the final desired shape. Okay, so this is what the material can be removed, okay, na, during the secondary manufacturing process. Okay, so the material removal generally is most expensive manufacturing process, right? Because more energy is consumed and also a lot of waste material is generated in the process, right? Material removal process is nothing but wastage of the material. You are doing the wastage of the material, okay, na? You are removing the material, okay, of course you are removing the material from the some part, means that is the material wastage only, okay. Even though it is material removal process, I mean, a lot of wastage of material is taken, is expensive, still you have to use this because because it delivers very good dimensional accuracy, okay, na? Why you are removing the materials, it means that you are achieving the dimensional accuracy, and also you can get good surface finish. So these two are the very important while producing the parts. Okay, so if you are delivering something, I mean, say you are producing something, your product output is there, okay, but the product outcome which has no dimensional accuracy, then there is no use. Okay, so in order to get the dimensional accuracy as well as good surface finish, you must apply these material removal processes. Okay, even though these are of very expensive, for suppose if you see the machine cost is like 15 lakh, 20 lakh or 25 lakhs of rupees. However, you have to use those machining machines, I mean infrastructure as well as machining operations, and also the material waste is more because the more of the material is nothing but material waste is, but you are implementing to achieve two things. One is to get the geometrical dimensional accuracy. Second one is to obtain the good surface finish. Okay, and also not only that, it generates accurate contours during the machining operations. Right. So this material removal process is also called as a machining process. Okay. So there are varieties of machines that are available. It is according to the machining, which machining operation or what type of material removal will be taking place. Accordingly, specific machining operation you can incorporate for the material removal. A typical examples are here. It is mentioned the turning operation, milling operation, grinding operation, and broaching operation. Okay, so these are the some of the machining operations that are being used. Okay, and in detail we will discuss in the later classes. Okay, so if you see the manufacturing categories, okay, the manufacturing categories broadly two categories. Okay, one is primary machining operation, where input as the complete raw material, okay, and some sort of semi-finished output you will get. Okay, and in the secondary, the semi-finished part which you obtain from the primary manufacturing operation will be used as the input. Okay, and to that semi-finished product which will be converted into the final product with the aid of secondary manufacturing process. Okay, so this manufacturing process further is classified into 4 varieties. One is casting operation, okay, where the metal is where the liquid metal is used and it is solidified, and the solidified solidified object will be removed from the mold. Okay, this is casting process. Then the second variety of the manufacturing operation is the forming operation. Okay, the forming operation is also a primary manufacturing process where the input material is heated and then you apply some sort of external forces. Then it will take its desired shape. Okay, and there are varieties of forming process like rolling, extrusion, drawing, etc., etc. Then the third variety is fabrication process. Okay, so in the fabrication process, what happens? Which is generally used to combine or joining process. Maybe of it is temporary joining or permanent joining. Okay, this temporary joining and permanent joining maybe with the aid of heat and the external pressure to be supplied during the operation. Okay, it may be generally of welding, soldering, and brazing operations. And the fourth one category is the uh, fourth category is the material removal process or machining operation, which is a secondary manufacturing process. Once the some parts are obtained with the aid of primary process, okay, the semi-finished parts to be further processed in order to get the good geometrical accuracy. Okay, there's some amount of some certain tools you will use to get good geometrical accuracy as well as good surface finishing. So this machining process is nothing but a secondary manufacturing process, okay, where you will obtain the final output. Okay, there are various categories even in machining process according to the designers of the uh, designers of the machining process. The machining process may be like turning, drilling, okay, planing, shaping, etc., etc. So these are the manufacturing processes and its classification.